Yes, Jimmy Kimmel is vile, and yes, we're stuck with him for a while on ABC Late Night as Disney seems certain to keep him on through the rest of his contract. But folks, that doesn't mean he gets to keep the same budget. And now it's being slashed. Today we'll tell you just how much Jimmy Kimmel is gonna lose, not in audience, not in viewership, but the money Disney is willing to invest in a madman. Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And yes, we still use that kind of gendered language around here. It's the channel that brings you all the news that should be fun, explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. It's what we love. As we dive in, click the like button. And folks, if we have not yet earned your subscription, just know every single day we're working hard to earn it from you. Let's dive into the latest loser info about Jimmy Kimmel. This one's just breaking, ladies and gentlemen. Jimmy Kimmel has seen his budget slashed by the Walt Disney Company. We told you this is going to be his last contract. Looks like it's going to be. He's out of here in 2027. He's not going to leave this year because, well, Disney doesn't want to rain on the parade of the retirement cascade with Colbert. But The Hollywood Reporter says Jimmy Kimmel Live is going to cut back music bookings to twice a week. Now, we've been wondering what Disney was going to do because this guy loses money like crazy, even if the Hollywood types don't want to say so. He's losing tons and tons and tons and tons of money. His audience is down to where it was before he lied about a national tragedy. He's narcissistic. He is an egotastic kind of fellow, and his wife does him no favors. Ethan Millman has this, and by the way, before anybody criticizes, his wife is his producer, so nepotism, thy name is the Kimmels. The move is the latest blow in a late-night ecosystem that's been cutting down on musical guests over the past several years. Now, the strategy that NBC has utilized to get their budgets down for Jimmy Fallon is to cut him down to 4 shows per week. But Colbert and Kimmel are still 5 days, so how is it that they're going to get the prices down? Well, they're cutting down on musical acts, and I would not be shocked, folks. I would not be surprised if we see Kimmel's band also go away at some point because he's losing so much money. They don't want you to say that. Jimmy Kimmel Live is cutting down its musical guest performance count to twice per week, The Hollywood Reporter has learned, less than half of what it currently is. Multiple sources familiar with the matter say Kimmel music producer Jim Pitt had informed them in the past several weeks about the move, though none who spoke with THR said they were given any reason on the decision. Oh, I can't imagine. What? The ABC Late Night Show is not expected to get shorter, another source familiar with the matter says. Oh, just fill more time. Reps for Jimmy Kimmel Live did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Now, the reason that they're not going to shorten the show, of course, is because that either would mean they come on later or they end sooner. And with the way the local network affiliates handle the news, they basically have to go the same length that they're at right now, unless they want to make a new show for 30 minutes, and that costs money. The decrease is the latest blow to a late-night TV ecosystem that has already been cutting down on music in the past several years. NBC's Late Night with Seth Meyers, for example, rarely, if ever, features musical guests on the show. And the show lost its Fred Armisen-fronted house band in 2024 due to budget cuts. Don't be surprised if that happens to Kimmel soon. Meanwhile, even before the news of the show's cancellation, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert's musical guest inclusion had waned as well, and the cancellation takes an entire show off the board for featured artists. Guys, this is now happening. We're getting into the nitty-gritty where Disney can no longer hide just how poorly Kimmel is faring. Marvin, I got a feeling that Disney is not eager to give this money any more of the money they've been sparing to him. It's time to start cutting to the bone, and this is going to make it awful hard for Kimmel to pretend like he has really honed in on an audience and built something up. Listen, what's going to happen here is Disney's going to have to just admit, basically, without saying so, they can't go giving this guy more money. He's a failure.
You know what? I wonder what he's going to talk about in all that extra time, huh? What subject is he going to talk about?
Marvin, did you notice that they did this also as soon as he won? People don't miss this. This is a huge point. He wins the Critics' Choice Award, which is basically the Hollywood Intelligentsia Award, right? This is the people inside the bubble. They want you to know Jimmy Kimmel's a winner. And the day after he wins and gives his vitriolic speech that we said, surely Disney can't suffer under this man any longer. That's the day that it comes out, we're slashing the budget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. They have put too much money into this guy. They clearly don't want him around anymore. But the problem is, because of his little 6-day vacation last year, they're unable to fully get rid of him again without suffering, the backlash from the unions and the Hollywood talent. Really, I think that his extension was just there so that people would kind of forget about the suspension, put a little more distance between that. Plus, he's not leaving at the same time as Colbert. Plus, he thinks that he has to be on the air for the midterm elections. So, I mean, getting rid of the musical acts, I mean, that's fine. It's just taking away the pretense that this is anything but a political attack show.
Yeah. So Jimmy Kimmel, it's not they reduced his musical acts by 10%. It's not that he did it. They did it for 20%. It's that they reduced him by more than half. The majority of the time you tune into the show, there will be no musical act anymore. So that is this is just a huge deal. And lest anybody forget, I mean, Jimmy Kimmel is so insufferable. He really is. Let me go now. Let me show what he was doing over Christmas break. In case anybody forgot, this was Jimmy Kimmel and his hatred for America.
This has been a really great year. Tyranny is booming over here.
That's Jimmy Kimmel. That's who Disney is aligned with every single day. Tyranny is booming over here. He's speaking to the British audience, where in England right now, you can be arrested for offending someone with a social media post.
My favorite part of this entire thing, and it was the thing that we ran on that Park Place, but a lot of the police didn't pick up on it, was he ends the speech by calling Americans dumb. He says that he ends the speech with, "But don't worry, we're not bright, we're Americans." So it's like he insulted the American people at the end of it.
And then the critics in Hollywood, the bubble in Hollywood gave him an award for that, because that's what they want. They want that as their entire industry goes down.
As we discussed last night, to be patriotic is not journalism.
Right. And the entire point of journalism at this point is to protect the establishment, because there's a resistance there. It's an amazing thing with journalism majors. They're supposed to speak truth to power. And it's, as I've said before, it's like the sequel trilogy, where you have an established government and a resistance to nothing in particular. And you also have the First Order. In their opinion, I guess they are both the resistance and the government at the same time. And Jimmy Kimmel plays his part in that. He has to be there to speak truth to power against the president that everyone in the media already hates. I don't know. It just seems like going for applause instead of laughter. So I personally, I think that Jimmy Kimmel probably needs to make sure he's upped his water intake so that he can cry on cue for this additional time every single episode. So I also think this is probably a good step for variety. This format, which is kind of a vestigial from variety shows of back in the day. They don't really bring on variety acts the way they used to. So they had music as part of that. I don't think there's a need for a house band at this point. So has anyone here, just quick show of hands, actually watched Jimmy Kimmel within the last 2 years, other than a clip on this show?
I had to watch his comeback specifically to cover it for that Park Place.
Right, but just to report on it, right?
Yes, to report.
So,
I had to watch it for work. Yeah, but
I have never met a person that watches Jimmy Kimmel live intentionally, because if they're going to do this, they're probably just going to watch Colbert so they can get the even more insane version of it.
I don't think I've watched late night shows since Jay Leno left, honestly. No, they all, to me, at least nowadays, they just seem so pointless. They don't do emotionally what they used to do, which was back, when I was growing up. At the end of the day, you would watch them to relax because they came on after the last news. You were going to sleep. You were, prepping for the next day, and you wanted to be entertained, and you wanted to maybe see a couple of lighthearted jokes about what was going on with politics, but not really much. They criticized both sides, but it wasn't even really critical. It was just, hey, this guy did some dumb thing, or this vice president doesn't know how to speak right, or whatever. It's just a couple of little light, funny things. But it's just, and then Carson was awesome. You were so entertained, right, with the guy with all the animals, or young Drew Barrymore when she came on the show. It was so much fun. And these shows aren't fun. None of them are fun. They're not fun anymore, and so
Really?
it's pointless.
Really? You don't find it fun? Jimmy Kimmel submitting himself to Trump's dementia test? Which, by the way, after the last 4 years, he's just trolling. He's just trolling. And one has to wonder, like, how much longer until Disney is basically saying, we'll turn the lights on, and that's about it. We're not paying for any more of this. Especially, guys, and here's what's going to come into play this year. We now expect, it's looking very much like Josh D'Amaro from Disney. He's over Disney Parks, and he's a very friendly kind of fellow. I bet he wants his image not associated with any of this. He's going to have a big decision to make as CEO of Disney going forward.
I think that's correct. I do. I think that Josh D'Amaro is going to, I think they're going to want to, I go back and forth because Bob Iger is going to still be involved. So I can't imagine they're going to want to go the whole like it's a new era. It's a new beginning for Disney, or if it's just going to be like, we're continuing Bob Iger's legacy. But yeah, I can imagine Josh D'Amaro does not, I've never seen him make a political statement. I've never seen him sound off on any of these kinds of issues. So I can't imagine that he wants to tie himself to some of these. Now, Dana Walden would tie herself to Jimmy Kimmel in a second. Jimmy Kimmel has tied himself to Dana Walden.
And that's the two paths that Disney has to decide right now. The board has to decide. Lauren, they can either go with Josh D'Amaro, who I don't think wants to be associated with the kind of stuff that Jimmy Kimmel does, or they can use Dana Walden, and she's just as politically aligned with Kimmel as she can be. Now, I don't know what Josh D'Amaro believes, but I think his persona does not align with having somebody like Jimmy Kimmel sliming every single night. And by the way, Jimmy Kimmel also doesn't align whatsoever with Wall Street. And I kind of sort of think that Bob Iger and Dana Walden went a little bit rogue and stepped their toes away from the investor class, right? I think James P. Gorman, I think that Hugh Johnson, I think these people that were put in place to keep an eye on Bob after the last years and the faux pas, I kind of think that this decision to bring back Jimmy Kimmel might have been them, Bob and Dana, asserting power. I don't think D'Amaro is going to do that.
I don't really know his style well enough to make a judgment on that. I think if he wants to reverse the fortunes of the company, he'd better. You cannot keep these things that alienate a large portion of the audience, that drive away advertisers, that lose you money. You cannot continue to run that way forever. I know that they have a gigantic war chest from their parks revenue, but the parks aren't on top anymore either. And eventually that war chest depletes. So this is why we keep advocating for, you need to reverse course. You need to move towards the middle. You need to actually appeal to a broader audience. And this guy ain't that.
No, he ain't. And I don't know what advertiser right now wants to take the risk of being associated with Jimmy Kimmel, because he's uncancelable now. He'll go anywhere. He'll get down in the mud as far as he can go. So McDonald's, you want to be associated with this guy? Walmart, you want to be associated with him? No, they don't.
Well, here's the thing, and I spent the better part of an hour, because we talked a little bit about this last night, researching who Jimmy Kimmel's advertisers were. Like, from Ad Age and every other source I could find, through multiple searches, through various AIs. You've got companies that are already woke AF, as the kids would say, that are all
Give me
about
6 or 7 of them, Culture. 6 or 7 companies. We won't boycott them, but
Nike, Geico.
You mean that little lizard's woke?
And basically all the P&G brands. Procter and Gamble.
Yep.
So when I went through it, there are makeup brands that are all about this, that are trying to,
Jimmy Kimmel brought to you by Sephora.
Yeah, kinda. But it's not. It's more like the makeup companies themselves. And when I looked overall at it, I'm like looking at all of these, what I would call globalist brands, being the ones that participate openly in support of the woke garbage content. Now, if I were an executive and I were going to work in this particular field, specifically in, let's say, the upper levels of executive management at Disney, I would be trying to work out a trade with Comcast because I want their guy. I want a guy that is supposed to appeal to the people that I'm supposed to be tied with. A friendly, family-oriented, non-offensive, everybody please like me guy like Jimmy Fallon. And as Marvin accurately surmised last evening, the most people that see Jimmy Fallon every year are seeing him on the ride that's at Universal Florida. Nobody else watches him. He's got worse viewership in the demographic than anybody else out there. I mean, I think even Seth is better.
Can we get Craig Ferguson back, Culture? Can we just, like, how much would it take to get him and just say, no politics, just snake cups and Jeff for everybody?
Ferguson would be perfect for Comcast. He'd be perfect for Fox. He'd be, I mean, if you were going to align the host with what the brand is supposed to be, Jimmy Fallon would be over at Disney and Kimmel would be at, some adult video awards show. I mean, you don't, this is not the right person to align with Disney. And again, it comes down to who the advertisers are, because they're advertising to a particular time frame that no longer, as Marvin pointed out last night, that no longer is supported by the generation that they're targeting. McDonald's, go ahead.
Well, I think if you had somebody like a Joe Rogan in there, now Joe Rogan is so independently wealthy and big, there's no reason for him to join. But if you had somebody like that, a personality like that, I think you could pull 6 million views per night as opposed to the 2 million these guys are doing.
Well, I would reintroduce people to the idea of a show like Living Color or something like that could take the either overflow going into or out of a show like that would appeal to a broader, younger audience. But we ditched all of those guys and all of those hosts and all of those style shows a long time ago.
Craig Ferguson, Arsenio Hall, combine them together, Culture.
Yeah, because again, I think that this one of the reasons why I applauded you and Lauren and Kevin Apollo when you decided to put Lauren and Apollo together, because the variety format has been missing for a very long time. And it's something that I would seek to bring back if I controlled the studio, because again, then you lead naturally into a success like The Muppet Show, because that's all Lauren, The Muppet Show was back then.
And Lauren is great at kazoo.
Yeah.
Kevin Apollo is a fantastic tap dancer. It makes for a great late night show. I mean, I'm just honest. It's wonderful. People should check it out Tuesdays and Fridays at 11 p.m. Lauren and Apollo. I know you want more. You want more of the Pro Channel, folks, but we've got to head out the door for this video. But fret not yet, for more content is yet on the way. 3 times a day, thrice as nice, right here on the Pro Channel. Oh, what's that you say? You want more than that? Fine, we'll do 4. 4 videos. Well, yeah, that's happening. Folks, as you get ready to go, consider clicking the like button for us. It is a huge help. Also, like, share, subscribe, and click it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. We would also love it if you could drop on down and give us a comment. We love hearing from you. And although we can't respond to every single comment, we often are reading them indeed. Folks, we would encourage you to consider subscribing to our partner channels, that Park Place, that Game Place, and that Pod Place. We love them all. We think you might too. Until the next time we have the joy of joining with you, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.